Hey, it's Chris. Crowdfunding round this week. Big hitters, making money, funding projects. What else do you need to know? Oh, why is that sitting next to me? Because at the beginning of this video, we're going to talk about who won the 7K giveaway. So if you tuned in, if you commented on the other one, well, here's your chance to find out whether or not you won. We selected two winners. Two winners getting a copy of the expansion as well as the base game of Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor from Nemesis Games. The first winner that was selected from all of the comments was Paranoid_Custodian. So if you are Paranoid_Custodian, email me. Email down below. Send me an email with your deets, and I will get it shipped out to you. Winner number two. We're going with a real name this time. At least I'm assuming this is a real name. Jason Abraham. Again, email me down below. I'll get it out to you sometime in the near future. So there you go. Tune in for more. I'm going to do another one at 10K. So tell your friends if you want to get some in sooner. So what do we got in crowdfunding this week? What do you need to know? Everything else that's going on? A lot of money. I told you this week was going to be a very interesting week, and there's some good projects, some very, very solid games. Let's go do it. Look, this is solid from top to bottom, and I'm going to put this out there. Do not compare games to games. Do not compare retail to crowdfunding. Do not compare prices from 5 years ago to now. Do not compare small box filler type games with deluxeifications to bigger box types of games that are going to come with more and deeper. So just keep each individual game for what it is as much as you can, because it's hard sometimes. But let's go. This is my number one pick. This is the one that's got my eye the most as the biggest surprise of the week. If you had told me that this one was going to be the most funny of the week, I would have been a little surprised. But it's because, again, just like last week's AEG one, now you've got AEG and not combination with Flat Out, but just straight out by themselves going to Let's Japan. Going to Japan, they've raised almost $200,000 here in the first day. That's very impressive. You got a $39 pledge level and a $69 pledge level. That's a big discrepancy, though, in price point for deluxeifications. And what are you getting in these deluxeifications is what makes it a little bit more unique and a little bit different. And that's why I think you're enticing more people, because it's not just the usual metal coins and a little box upgrade, right? So let's talk about Let's Go to Japan, though. This is a card drafting simultaneous play style of game from 1 to 4 players into about 45 minutes. You're going to be drafting cards and playing through one of 7 different slots that's going to be available to you, and you can put up to 3 cards in each different slot, as you can see here on the rulebook diagram. And the interesting thing about these cards is as you're drafting them, you actually have the ability to put them under or on top of the card that you've already previously drafted. So unlike other drafting games where you're constantly laying on the top and top and top and trying to mitigate that way, no, you can choose how you want these icons to be arranged, because there's going to be a certain bonus that comes out from the top card, and there's going to be other bonuses that are underneath those cards as well. So that's going to be the big dichotomy. Now, if you are a newsletter backer, you get a free expansion. There's also another expansion for $10 included with this. The passport expansion is the one I just mentioned as the first one, and then the second one actually comes free with the deluxeification edition, the Matsuri edition here. As well, it comes in with a furoshiki cloth designed to be more elegant as well as reusable. And you get a little bit of your deluxeifications here. 5th player upgrade, wooden tokens for everything, cloth bags, which again are kind of nice. And then you get the day trip expansion, which is the other expansion that I mentioned. So if you want to get all the expansions, you could potentially be looking at a $49 pledge level versus a $69 pledge level. So you're looking at a $20 difference if you have the other expansion included. And then you also get these ceramic dishes or ceramic bowls. So I don't know. How do you feel about ceramic bowls? Like, it's not quite pencil sharpener level, but it also made me go, you know, so I'm tempted. I won't lie. I'm really tempted actually to get the higher pledge level, because I'm a sucker for these style of games. This is a nice, incredibly light filler, but I also, again, have to tempt myself not with comparing to others that are out there, right? Like I look at Point City, which is a very similar card amount, for half the price as well. So I see people doing that, and I also see people doing the same thing with the next one, Galactic Renaissance, compared to what Enos is at retail, right? Like, you can do that, but ultimately, who are you really doing it for? Yourself to justify it, or yourself to make yourself feel justified in not doing it? And that's the big catch-22. Now, you're going to have happiness mood trackers that are going to go along with this. You're going to have bonuses. You're going to have simultaneous drafting, passing left and right. And there's a few stretch goals that they're actually giving you as a few extras here as well, whatever that may entail. You know, if you really think that those are going to be stretch goals or exclusives, they don't mark exclusives anywhere at all here, though. So like the other AEG games, maybe there'll be a separate promo pack, but maybe not as well. So take that for what you will. Again, you're getting a little bit more here. So again, I think it's a fine deal either way. It's probably a little bit more expensive than I would have guessed originally for just the retail edition. So that'd be my only thing. I would have thought that the $39 one would have gotten you an expansion. But this one is by far and away the killing it this week, and I think it's awesome. I wish the neoprene player mats actually were included instead of some of the other deluxifications. But there you go. I think this is a brilliant looking game. I think it's solid. If you're interested in it all, it's going to be a good experience. So next up, speaking of Galactic Renaissance, again, check out my video from earlier in the week. I did a review of it. I think this is better than Enos. I am not personally a biggest fan of Enos, but this is going to have several gameplay element overlaps in terms of how you're going to be playing. It's going to be, I'm not going to use the cliche analogy, but it's going to be a claustrophobic game with the multiple planets, the multiple galaxy spanning portals that you're going to be using to go from planet to planet, as well as the hubs, in addition to a semi-deck building, deck construction style game. And that's where people are either turned on or turned off, because as you start out with the game, you start out with 7 cards that are all unique, but each player starts with the same 7 set of cards, and then you draft 1 asymmetric specialist into your deck to begin with. And as you draft more specialists, your deck is going to get stronger. You're going to have different ways of mitigating it, but it's got an Aeon's End type twist in the sense that when you play cards, you put them on the straight on the bottom of your deck, so you do not shuffle. There is no change in the order. So you also are going to start to know, okay, when is my card coming up? The nice thing is you can often draft through or even discard cards from your hand, and there's a combo system as the game goes on. You're going to have cards that allow you to give extra card turns, meaning you have only 1 play of a card per turn unless the card actually gives you an additional action. And so as you get better cards, they're going to have more of those. You're also going to have very limited spots on these planets, which is called stability. And stability here, you can't really see on this graphic. I'll see if they've got one down here. These, nope, that's the home player board. Let's see, stability. Stability are these things right here. And they're going to each have upwards of 5 to 9 different spots that you can put either your workers, your institutions, or your, I'm forgetting the other term right now for it, the foundations. It's right there in front of me. And so what's going to happen is you can only put so many there. Foundations are a shared resource. Institutes are the things that are coming off your center board, allowing you to have a higher hand amount at the end of your turn when you redraw every turn. And so again, you can draw up to like 5 cards per turn. So that really goes through your deck quickly, because even with my last 2-player game, at the end game, I mean, we're only talking about like 14, 15 cards total. So you can get through that in 3 turns. And people are like, oh, I don't know if I can get through that. You can. If you're concerned about deck building, it's not your traditional deck building, so don't be turned off by that. Give it a look-see. There's tons and tons of planets, tons and tons of objectives at the end game scoring thing, and this cannot be probably overlooked either, is the way they do the objectives in terms of end game scoring. You have to have at least 30 points by the end of the game, and you have to score 10 points on the same turn that you either break 30 points or be at 30 points already and score an additional 10 points. Now, that sounds very hard, but the game ramps up very quickly about 2/3 of the way through, and so it's not difficult at all in that sense. So it's very achievable. This is a game state board situation, but this is a game state board game that you really have to pay attention to. I mean, it's more like Root in the sense, and Enos, that you really, if you're not paying attention to what the other person is doing or the other people are doing, someone can run away with it and someone can sort of sneak in there and win. But that's the balance of things that you're going to have to do. And that goes through the stability, is you're trying to sometimes cause disorder in these systems, because that'll cause people to lose their spots on the planets, which then will allow them to manipulate things as well. So that's what you're doing. You can have disorders that you're resolving, like I mentioned, activating your planets, because each of them is also going to have a planet disc that you can activate as a special asymmetric power if you're the one controlling that planet. Scoring the victory points, you have 2 face up here at the beginning of the game. The third one gets flipped up when you reach a certain point threshold, and then when you reach 2 more point thresholds, when anyone crosses like 10 or 15 points, then you actually flip the first 2 spots over, because on the opposite side they have a completely third, and they have completely 4th and 5th different scoring objectives. So all of a sudden, halfway through the game, you're going to have, instead of the original 1, 2, 3, you're going to have 4, 5, 3, if that makes sense. So you're going to have to pivot, and you're going to have to shift your strategy and your resource from that aspect. Again, I think it's a solid looking game. I think it's an absolute contender for one of the top games of the year when people actually get it played and when they receive it. So I have no qualms about that. It's just whether or not you want to pay 75 euros for this game. And again, that's the price point situation. But if you buy Enos and one of the expansions for Enos, because I would dare say that this has enough content to, be an expansion based game already to begin with the amount of planets, stability, as well as objectives and specialists, that you're looking for about the same price point. You really are. So I think that argument is a wash, even if you're going to try and make it, despite my warning of not doing that earlier. So plus, I actually have a quote on here somewhere too. Maybe a video. I don't know. It's somewhere on here maybe. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it's not on here. I don't really know. I don't pay attention to that stuff anymore. I try not to. But anyway, solid looking game. I'm surprised it's not doing more, but I'm going to guess it's a couple $100,000 by the time the campaign is done. So there you go. Next up, the other sleeper pick of the week. I told you, Liege told you, Nekojima. I stand by my quote, I stand by my hype. You know me, I don't talk about games like that are, meh, right? Like I stand by my relatively tried and true bias of I tried to go middle of the road on most of these things. This is just a freaking fun, fantastic game. So if you have any interest in a dexterity game, putting these little wooden pieces on top of each other with little cats dangling between the ropes and not having anything touch each other, this is probably one of the best dexterity games I've ever played, period. I have no qualms about saying that. You know, my 4 dexterity games are now this, Crokinole, Clask, and Cubico's game, Karoo, which is like a bocce ball style of game, which is a whole nother thing with bouncy balls and blocks and little, anyway, you don't need to know about that. But this is a 1 to 5 player. It's 20 minutes or less, really. And look, there's me. Speaking of me, but I stand by this, guys. I mean, check out my video if you really want. Check out the very end of my video, because people are like, oh, this is really easy to balance. Oh, look at how easy those balance. Literally at the end of my video, I blow like this hard, and the whole thing collapses on the video and you can watch it. So, I mean, balancing this is really tough. It's really fun. It's really tricky. I did it with my 7-year-olds. I can do it with adults, and it's going to leave you just enjoying yourself. So I can't really say enough good things about it from that aspect of things. And you're not going to see anything else out there like it. And so if you have any interest, you should totally do it. They've got a couple of variants that go with it as well, including like how many you can stack in an area, how many you can stack on top of each other. Unfriendly games. I just can't say enough good things about this. And you know me, I don't usually do that on this roundup side of things. So I'm letting my bias show, but that's, you know, how strongly I feel about this. So Nekojima, it's got $20,000. Freaking amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if they breaks 100K by the end of the campaign, which again is, if you'd have told me, that's above and beyond anything I expected. So congrats to them. Boom, let's go there. The other huge, massive one this week, Unmatched Adventures, Tales to Amaze. Over $200,000, are going to be probably at $250,000 by the time you're watching this tomorrow. 4,000 backers. The real question is, and there were already some grumblings, but if you didn't look closely, the grumblings have already been addressed. They're only shipping this to North America. And again, it's been addressed because they've said that they've got partners going to be doing all of this. We'll scroll down past all the really cool stuff and we'll get to this, because otherwise people are going to, you know, let me know in the comment section right away. Let's see, where is it? Right here. All these others right here. Yellow is working with publishers to bring it to you, including the promotional items. You're not going to be looking at the crowdfunding, but you're going to be able to get it. Now, back to your regularly scheduled talk of Unmatched Adventures. Now, this is Unmatched, the Dice Throne Adventures version of Unmatched, essentially, as a cooperative game. 1 to 4 players, you're going up against one of the 2 bad guys, Mothman and alien other creature thing, right? You'll get there, but can't believe I screwed that up. But you have 2 different bosses, you have 4 minions. And so what you're going to be doing is you have an initiative. This takes more of an Aeon's End style approach, and you have an initiative deck that's actually going to have cards added to it eventually by the bad guys to get them more turns as you progress. And the bad guys are going to have to get through their objectives 4 times in order to win. And when they do that, it's going to not only add cumulative difficulty against you, but it's going to unlock additional powers on the cards that the bad guys will play each time. You're actually going to be drawing cards from the top of the deck to determine sometimes what the bad guy does. So the AI system is definitely a little bit different there than your usual AI system when you have these cooperative versus game situations. You're going to be just otherwise taking a lot of your similar unmatched style play. The initiative, then you're going to be taking your turn with your moving and your actions and whatever your card is going to do in terms of fighting or manipulating in sense of that. Now, you either win if you defeat all of the bad guys in terms of the boss, or you lose if, like I said, they complete their 4 objectives or objective 4 times, or everybody, including your hero as well as the sidekick, gets knocked out. Not just one, but all of them. Not just your main, but both. And so that's what you're going to have to be dealing with. Here are the villains. Martian Invader. See, I didn't screw it up that far. 6 different minions that you can mix and match along with it. Now, the other thing that was mentioned in this is the heroes are portable. The 4 heroes that you're going to be getting, including Tesla, we'll talk about their powers in a second, that are going to be compatible with the base game. The boards are actually going to be compatible with the base game. There's going to be additional board elements that are going to be on this that you can interact with, and that are going to have special rules that you can port players into from the previous editions as well. But there's nothing about being able to play as the bad bosses. Potentially as, I think, the minions you can play as, I think it says, but not the actual bosses. So Jill Trent, Anna Christmas, Nikola Tesla, Golden Bat. And they run you through each of the various asymmetric abilities. You have Jill Trent. She's got 2 gadgets or multiple gadgets, and you can only have 1 face up per turn that activates. She's got like a little sidekick dog thing that does something too that can be activated. Then you have Anna Christmas. She does more damage when she has less health than the person she's going up against. Tesla has these 2 Tesla coils that are going to be activated, and they're going to be, continuously activated and do damage to the people next to you if they're both charged, but then you can also expend them to get additional effects on your cards themselves. And then the golden bat, I think, actually gets just stronger. I forget what the power is for that one. We'll scroll down here in a second. The rules are all here. The 3 rule books are in there, gives you all of this stuff. And then the promos that they talk about are sort of the question mark, right? Because the thing I didn't mention about the North American side of things, right? And you look at this and you go, $60 is probably a little bit pricey. Well, this is $60 including shipping, right? This is the age-old debate. Is it better to have this as $50 plus $10 shipping, or is it better to get it $60 plus free shipping? I think market research has shown the free shipping entices more people, but it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. It's really just a marketing gimmick. So take that for what you will. You get the others here. Here are the foils. And that's the other thing with Dice Throne. The foils, or not the foils, the promos were slightly different, very small amount. Same thing with War of Everything card game. I'm still looking for those. But these are special foil treatment. I don't see, though, that these are necessarily included as extras, or meaning they're duplicates of ones that are already in there, or they're completely unique ones that are going to give you extra foils. So I just don't know. $5 for the Pledge Manager. I've talked about that previously, about how Pledge Manager prices are going up. They talk about all this stuff we already talked about, and they talk about everything else you need to know there. It's a good value, I'd say, right now if you're in North America. I just don't know if the price point is going to be significantly reduced at retail. I don't know if Restoration, I'm just not that familiar with Restoration's retail presence to say for sure whether or not it's going to be completely discounted or not from that aspect of things. So take that for what you will. I'm on the fence. I've been looking to get into Unmatched, and a cooperative style of things in a pandemic-esque vibe is slightly appealing. My kids liked Star Wars Epic Duels when we had that, but it just didn't get played, and it was a little bit so we ended up getting rid of it. And would this replace it? I don't know. I've had my eye on Cobble and Fog for a while, as well as Legends 2 and 1 or 2 of the Marvel ones, but I've just never been able to pull the trigger. And you know me, I like my 2-player skirmishes, so take that for what you will. So there you go, Unmatched. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it because it's tabletop adjacent. It's not board games, but it's Battletech Mercenaries. And this is from Catalyst Games. It's raised $3.2 million freaking dollars. Their last campaign with 11,000 backers, only 11,000 backers, only raised $2.5 million. And there's still some PDFs that are outstanding from that campaign that were supposed to be delivered earlier in this year. But I think for the most part, they fulfilled most of their loose ends from that. You're paying for miniatures. I mean, it literally says right here at the top of the page, it's all about the miniatures. So if you want this, it's more miniatures and it's more nostalgia, it seems like to me. I don't know if this is like people buying it to actually like seriously play it. I would assume it is, though, at the same time. I have no reason to think it's not. I've never been affiliated or had a strong attachment to Battletech growing up. Like, it was sort of like before me and after me in terms of age-wise. And I just don't know how I feel about it. And they've got a lot of pledge levels here at the various price points. That's probably the biggest thing. Is I feel like this is similar to one of the other games I'm going to review on the channel very soon. You'll see it come out next week, where the starter set really isn't necessarily the best starter set, right? The starter set is basically barely dipping your toes into the water, and you really need to get like 2 or 3 or 4 of these to actually have what the game is meant to have a full playthrough of, essentially, right? And they give you a bunch of add-ons. They've got a bunch of merch here. I mean, it's cool looking, don't get me wrong. I have no clue how to play this, but I'm assuming it's more like a 40K Marvel open world tabletop game with measuring and shooting and that sort of thing. So that has never been a huge appeal to me. I have enough trouble getting Star Wars Armada played, so take that for what you will. But here you go, you get through the pledge levels here. The $35, yeah, great, you get the beginner box. The $80 gets you a mercenary box. And again, it doesn't even really tell you fully what's in there. It gives you a little picture, and that's fine. But then the next jump up is 150. Then you have 275, and that doesn't even get you everything there. You're really looking at the 500 or even the 5,000. Look at that for a second. 5,000. How many people do we actually have at that level? I'm curious. I didn't know you could put pictures on those pledge levels. 5,000 is all gone, folks. 50 people at the 5,000. Less than 12 hours into this campaign. That's insane money. Stretch goals, whatever. I mean, most of this stuff is probably pre-planned anyway, right? $2 million stretch goal. Take it for what you will. Graphic novels as well. I have no idea the popularity of this. Clearly, it's miniature based, so the money is heavy, but we don't see a ton of this on crowdfunding. We see a lot of the STLs. We see a lot of the terrain more recently. We see a lot more D&D adjacent, but this is, clearly got nostalgia, and it's clearly got a live action crowd that wants it. So take that for what you will. It's Battletech. There you go. Did you see the news video from earlier this week? I called it. Your boy called it. Devere Queen doing the Essential Edition of Marrakesh. I've been clamoring for this. I've been looking at this. I have been seriously thinking about this. I looked at the infographic as I pulled it up in the news video, comparing things, right? You've got smaller size board, you've got smaller size pieces, but you've got most of the other actual content relatively the same. There's no actual like gameplay difference. You're getting all of the modules and the little mini expansions, whatever is included. And so the only question is it really that good? And the problem is that the jury is still out, because no one really has a copy. Like, no one can really get a copy. They haven't been selling the retail copies. They haven't been selling the deluxe copies on their website. You just can't get it. And this is the third Kickstarter, though, for this game, and the second one within, like, the last 2 months. And that's more of the issue that I have, right? Like, if you knew this was coming out, why didn't you just bundle this with the last one? Why did you separate this out? Like, that just irritates me. But you're getting it for $69, which is about half the price point for the deluxeified one right now. Now, you can get the classic version, or you can get some, like, bundles here, which, you know, again, I don't really know about. I don't know about Copa Kelly. I haven't really heard mixed... Copa Kelly, I don't really know. I've heard mixed things about it across the board, so you can tell me below. But I mean, even the classic edition here is now $115, which is like the price of the original Marrakesh Deluxe edition from the first Kickstarter campaign. So that leaves more of a bad taste in my mouth than anything else. Not that, again, I'm going to worry about that, but you can't even get, you know, this copy anymore. There's only 3 of 70 left right now. So by the time I even finish filming this video, they're probably going to be out. And so this is really the enticement, which is kind of, again, weird. I'll say that they threw this in here with this Marrakesh campaign. Like, you just have extra stock of Copa Kelly, was what it tells me, and you just want to burn them. That's really what it tells to me, any more than anything else. But you only have 60 people getting in this. And so, again, I'm tempted, but I just don't know with Queen. Like, if I knew I could get this at retail, I'd wait and see, and I'd try to get more info and more reviews on it. But, I mean, it's a Feldian tower cube dropping game. You can see the tower right there. You're dropping it. You're having your 17 different Feldian approaches in which you can take, and it gets you everything game-wise that you need. I don't really know. I just don't really know. I mean, they definitely jacked up the prices. I mean, if this was $10 or $15 less, I think it would be an insta-back. I think it would be an insta-back, no questions asked, but it's just that price point, especially on the crowdfunding side of things, that I can't tell if it's going to be $10 more or $10 less at retail. So that would be my biggest concern. As with all Feldian games, I mean, this is massive symbology. This is massive iconography that you're going to need to know. And I mean, I feel a little bit mixed about these towers, because these towers either work really well or they're just really finicky. And the 2 other towers I have work really well, but I just hate putting these together in the first place. And so it's just always a little bit of a conundrum I have. I don't mind this stuff. I don't mind the cardboard. I mean, yeah, I wish they were all like wooden, but is that really a make it or break it for me? I don't really know, because I just feel like with some of the other Queen games, there's been a little bit of your mileage may vary on how well these are produced or not. And I'll say that even about my Hamburg, right? Like, I wasn't terribly over the top happy with my deluxeifications there. And so if I don't have those deluxeifications in this one, I'm not really sure I am going to miss it from that side of things. And I've heard that this one is, you know, absolutely a massive table hog. So the fact that they reduced the board size as one of the main key features of this can't be overlooked in the first place. You're playing 3 seasons, 4 rounds each, and you get 4 phases in each round. So they run you through this round sequence of what you're going to be doing. It just goes straightforward, and people really seem to like this one, but I don't see any more definitive like why they like this one, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, all of these are similar, but they're all different, and which one you like and your mileage may vary from that side of things. So this is probably going to be a last minute whether or not I back it as well. But these are the only 3 videos that have been out for like months. And I think at least Man vs. Meeple had one out like during the campaign. And I think Board Game Ramblings here was one of the first ones to have it like a pre-production copy, or like one of theirs like delivered like shortly after the campaign ended, because their video was also out earlier. And I think Gaming Rules here was the only one that actually had it during the original campaign as well. So all of those have been around for a while if you want to check them out. So yep. Oh, there's Copa Kelly. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's principle, desire, you know, sort of like, you know, everything else that goes along with this. Can you justify it? I don't know. Spend your money wisely. Get a game that interests you this week. Right? Right. Next one. This is the other sleeper hit of the week. I'm going to call it right now. Ecosfera, tell them Liege sent you. It's got $10,000 of its $9,000 funding goal raise. This is a game group, designers, publishers out of Finland. And so this is a very interesting, it's a deck building cooperative game that you're going to be taking on the role as basically ecologist, trying to save animals, creatures, plants, fungi, everything else in between, in order to play and win and restore nature before the end of the game. And there's going to be 2 ways that this game is going to be won or lost. One is that you get 7 of the tiles that you need to win, and the other is you get 7 of the extinction tiles, and those are happening through various conditions that you can basically, and those are going to be happening through the conditions of the game. Those are going to happen through either your failure to do so, or either you're combining cards successfully in order to solely draft and build up your, you know, deck. And so you have these cards as well, the animal card kingdoms here, the plant and the fungi kingdoms, and you're going to be drafting these cards here to then use to combine 2 of each of these into the animals. You have the element cards that are going to be present and needed for the bottom of all of these other cards, and then you have the 7 biome tiles that you need to be able to create to win, and then you have the 7 extinction tiles that are going to be the lost condition. The thing I'm a little concerned about, and the thing I'm a little bit like wondering about, is because I love this price point. I think this price point for the game itself is 27 euros, no problem with that. But the expansion, you're including a 20 card expansion for an extra 18 euros, and that's a lot of money. That's, you know, almost €1 a card, and that's not terribly great. And I don't understand exactly what the unpredictable situations are that are going to drastically differ. I know in terms of the variable setup, you can have different challenges, different difficulty levels, and those sorts of things. Unfortunately, you're going to have to watch a video, because the link down here, if we scroll down further enough, I mean, they talk to you through a little bit of the series here of what you're going to be doing, but the link to Tabletopia and the game rulebook at this point, when I'm clicking here, there is absolutely nothing going on. So if you really want to know what it is, you have these 7 biomes and the 7 extinction tiles, right? You have 4 cards that are going to be face up, and you're going to be gaining combinations of the element cards in order to gain the plant or fungi cards. If you can take it, then you can win it. The right combination will then of those will get you animals. Right combination of animals will get you the biome tiles. But if you don't have any of the animal cards, the plant cards, or the biome tiles, you get a disaster card. If you get 3 disaster cards at the same time, then your turn's over, you get an extinction card. And then 4 disasters, 3 extinction tiles. So extra abilities, extra ways of playing, extra difficulties that you're doing. I mean, I think this one just looks like an absolute tossing sleeper hit. I don't know what else to say. I'd say check out one of the videos here from like before you play, and you know, give it a look, see if the gameplay looks solid to you. This is another one that I will probably be looking at video-wise after I finish filming this, because I just, again, don't get the best sense of the actual flow. If it is more than just, you know, take card, match card, take card, match card, that'd be my only concern. Again, for the price point, especially with the expansion, is it really going to be worth it? But it's probably not going to be one of those wide distributions as well, getting a couple hundred people backing. So either way, I think it's interesting. I think you should give it a look-see. There you go. Now, this is the other one you can see at the top of the page. I'm actually backing this. This is from the makers of Pagan Fate of Roanoke. This was their latest game that just launched at the very tail end of last week. It's got 24 days. It's about 85% funded at the time of me filming this, and it's just an asymmetric power creature-driven game where you go head-to-head with asymmetric wizards in forms of creatures, and you try and duel it out. 54 cards, 5 different forms of creatures, plants, beasts, insects, birds, and phoenix that are going to just go head-to-head in a take-that style game. It's only 13 euros, 14 US dollars. It hasn't any stretch goals, obviously, because it hasn't funded yet. But, I mean, if you've got a pedigree with, like, Fate of Roanoke, I have a hard time thinking that this game isn't going to be anything but pretty solid. What you're going to be doing here is you're going to be drafting and drawing cards to your hand and then playing, and you're just going to be having special abilities that are going to asymmetrically activate either spells, passive effect, or active effects, depending on when you play them and when they're going to be going. You're going to be having rounds of creatures that are going to be going back and forth and determine who wins. 4 whole rounds, regardless of player count, and the overall high score is going to win. Again, I just think it's kind of cool. I wish that I had a copy of this. I reached out to them before the campaign. I didn't realize it was launching so soon. I was hoping to be able to do it for them, but yeah, I mean, I'm backing right now, and there's only 1 pledge level, so if you have any interest in this, definitely give it a look-see. Again, tell them Liege sent you. No, just give it a look-see as another filler. I mean, this is an absolutely fantastic time on crowdfunding and just the board game retail scene, regardless of distribution model for the retail, for the filler side of things. So I cannot speak highly of this one or the other ones that I've already talked about this week and last week enough. Next up, we have Tiny Ninja, the tournament game. This is a challenge-based dexterity game with 5 different tournament gameplay modes that you're going to be doing. And essentially, it's just like a little flick. I don't know. You basically have these little ninja weapons that you're going to be utilizing and flicking into the various little mini games that you have for portability and replayability right here that says balls, rings, and little arrows, essentially, is what you're doing. And it's got little GIFs that you can see, little GIFs down here, depending on which side of the spectrum you fall on that one. But they've got a 1-player mode as well, and they run you through what they are here. But then if you actually look at the GIFs down here, you can actually see, because I'm too lazy to actually read things. And they run you through this one, right? Your little arrows are knocking over the little bell towers there. And then this one right here, you're trying to get the rings. It's a little carnival game right there on the poles. And then here, you're trying to get the balls into the hole. Okay. And then this one, you've got through the hole there. And then last one up, you're again trying to get them into the rings there as well. So that's it. That's in a nutshell. They've got a whole bunch of videos here as well if you want to check that out. It's not inexpensive. I mean, it's probably similar price-wise to Nekojima-ish. and you know, Canadian dollars being US dollars, $30. So that's not too bad, all things considered. So for the amount of content, I mean, it's just whether or not this is more of a gimmick or a actual game you're going to come back to. I mean, because like Nekojima, like I would come back to that every time. Like I feel like this would be like a once or twice thing, and then, you know, this is cute, and yeah, it's a skill thing, and yeah, they talk about you can get better at it, but too, like I just did carnival games with my kids when we went up on our little 26-hour vacation this past weekend, and you know, those carnival games that are in like arcades and stuff, like the little hand claw thing that comes down and grabs things, like you do those once or twice and you're done. Like, and that'd be my only fear with this. Not that it's not good, not that it doesn't look solid, not that it doesn't look innovative from a dexterity standpoint, because it does do all of those things. But for me personally, I think my money would be probably better spent elsewhere. And so that's why I would prefer Nekojima over this one. But again, I see the appeal of it. I see the appeal of the Tiny Ninjas series. I mean, this is their third or fourth game in the series, and they're putting out good quality products. Otherwise, you wouldn't have people coming back and repeat funding. So I give them a lot of kudos for doing something slightly different in a little arcade, you know, style tongue-in-cheek mode, and I like it too. So don't have anything bad to say about it. So there you go. Now we're going to fly over to BackerKit as well as GameFound and back to Kickstarter at the end of this week here, because we've got a couple different things going on. First up is Wild Gardens, very nature-centric here at the end. Wild Gardens, Rose Gauntlet Entertainment's second game, I believe, into the foray of crowdfunding, and this is sort of a actually like traversing a garden as you're going along, moving a certain number of spaces, selecting an action, which is then going to either provide you resources, cooking a meal, or satisfying a meal with a guest. And so this is really a nice, aesthetically pleasing game, but I guess the question is, does the gameplay actually hold up? There's not really a good explanation of what you're doing on the page itself. There is no rule book as well, which is really something that I find kind of strange. But the how to play video from Before You Play is down there, and you can check that out as well. It's well done as always, but I just wish there was a little bit more on the page itself. You can see this double-sided path board, and on each of these different spaces on the path, it touches 3 areas always that you're going to be gathering resources from if you're choosing one of the resource gathering actions. Because on the bottom of your player board, you'll see that there are 3 main chunks of areas that you're going to be choosing your score tracker, choosing your action token to go into that area. And how far you move essentially is based on the number of the action token that you put in that area, right? You put it in the 1 action, you move 1 space, and so on and so forth. And you have a resource gathering, a recipe utilizing, and then a dropping off and cooking, as well as a cooking how you're going to forge those recipes in order to feed them to the guests in the first place. And you have to be even on certain spots here with a little marking in the center to actually, you know, cook the recipe itself in the first place, right? And so you're going to be utilizing those actions as you go along to make your engine a little bit stronger, because you'll also see that there are 3 open spaces in each of these 3 action spots that are going to make those actions even stronger as the game progresses. Up to 4 people playing it, deluxeifications, your skill tokens, your location cards that you're going to be gathering, the guests that you're going to be feeding, and the recipes that you're going to be making along the way. I mean, it's $50. It's got some nice components, plus or minus shipping. It's a wash from a value standpoint. I think it's fine value. I don't think it's necessarily outstanding. I can definitely see it being a little bit more expensive, and that would probably make it, you know, kind of a little bit harder to swallow. But I just wish, again, there was something else on the page. It comes with 3 expansions as well as 2 ingredient upgrade packs. So they go full deluxeification if you really want that thing. Community expansion, media expansion. Apparently there's 18 personalities that are going to be guests that you're going to be able to feed. And then a team expansion pack as well if you want to shake things up even further. Few add-ons if you really want some lore about it as well. So they give you just the briefest of overviews here of how you're doing it, but that's unfortunately about it. You're gonna have to watch this video to get any semblance of an actual flow of the gameplay, which seems relatively solid, but again, just curious that there's not exactly anything else on here. So that'd be my only issue with it, apart from that. So shipping is whatever. It's gonna cost you $66 in North America. But that's minus the expansions as well too. And do you need the expansions? No. Are you going to get them? Yes. So if you're going to get the expansions, even without the deluxeifications, you're already running $100. Is this a $100 game? That is the question I asked at the beginning. Is it worth it to you? That is what you need to answer. There you go. Let's hop over to GameFound here. Let's stay with the nature theme. This is Flutter, where you're going to be pollinating and creating flowers, right? No, literally pollinating. No, maybe not literally. Figuratively, in a literal sense on the board game side of things, doing pollinating. This reminds me very much of Planet Unknown sitting behind me, right? You have this section of tiles that you're not going to be rotating on a spinning platform as you have a Planet Unknown, but you're basically going to be moving this sun tile around. You have the ability to take the one that the sun tile is on or one of the subsequent ones if you're willing to pay extra petals. Petals being the amount of petals or the color that is on the top of the tile that you want to get in the first place. You then allocate, as it shows you here, these tiles into your area, and if you have a bee that can be placed down, that will also score you extra victory points as long as the tile is not enclosed in the first place. When you put that tile down though, you're going to be getting points and petals based on the petals that are matching to create the flower, because you always have to create a flower when you're playing one of these tiles down. If the petals don't match, then you get penalized. Rinse and repeat until one of these 5 stacks that you can see here is out, then you score final victory points for the end game. Flutter, the wood edition, $59. Flutter, the non-wood cardboard edition, $29. So $59 is not bad actually for if this is an all wood version. Not too bad. But that's the basic gist of the game. You can download the rules. As I mentioned, a few videos, very aesthetically pleasing again. Again, it's just whether or not it's more right for you or not. It's a Planet Unknown lighter version of things with less asymmetry. So if that interests you, if you want a better price point than Planet Unknown as well for maybe the non-wooden version, check it out. Now back over to BackerKit, because we have a second one launched. This is Dreams of Yesterday. They actually do a free print and play on here as well if you want. And this is Dreams of Tomorrow's sequel standalone expansion based off of that, from Weird Giraffe Games, and it's already $1,000 over its funding goal. What are you doing essentially is you're basically using a tableau sense of building a set collection utilizing a rondel mechanism. Does that make sense at all? Well, essentially what you're going to have is you're going to have these 5 cards out in a 2x3 arrangement somehow, and then you get to move 1 to 2 spaces potentially forward, grab that card, put it in one of your 2 tableaus that you can build. You set collect in those tableaus until you get one of these little urn cards. These urn cards and the scoring for it, these urn cards and the scoring for it, but they also provide additional bonuses. So when you do that, how you do that's going to be better. More set collections of the similar artifacts or resources are going to get you more points, as well as each time you lay a card over, you're going to have a different resource or ability available to you in order to create better combos. And they talk about it right here: cost, ability, back of card. That's going to show you what else you need there. There are resource cards, there are discovery cards, and there are unusual artifact cards that are going to give you more than one resource that you may need. And it plays, this is kind of the strange thing, 1 to 3 players, but if you have 2 decks, you can play 4 to 6 as well. So they show you a little bit of the setup here. Wherever you draft the card from, then that is the next player's starting spot, and then they get to move so many spaces from that. Rinse and repeat. The game ends when everybody has played both of their full tableaus. Also plays solo, like I mentioned, in the 1-player count. So bunch of quotes, bunch of reviews, bunch of videos here. Only $9. So, I mean, that's not bad price at all. So take it for what you will. Again, it's got $4,000. So got an audience. Check it out if you want. Now, back over to Kickstarter. Forge. This is a worker placement style game, which has a lay all your workers out, upgrade your forge, and when everybody's workers are laid out, when you bring them all back, then you can fulfill a contract. But you're also going to be upgrading the parts of your forge as you go along, trying to make your forge more efficient, trying to build better things, and just trying to keep up with the Joneses. As you can see, you have your blacksmith, but you also have the assistants that you're going to be putting out there. And I believe that the one you put out there is going to change how it collects or what actions it can do. You're going to have to watch a video, though. The link down to the rule book at the time of me filming this isn't working. You're going to have to get a better sense of the flow with one of those videos, hopefully, or the rule book link will be fixed by the time you guys watch it. And again, it gives you a relatively straightforward thing here. You play until 5 objectives are completed of the 7 objectives that are in every game. So you're going to be able to mix and match which ones you want to complete based on the actions that are available to you, how many worker spots are available to you on a turn-by-turn basis, and how much take that you have as well. So like I said, you're placing them down. When all of them are placed, then you can forge, new round, rinse and repeat until somebody triggers 5 achievements. You're going to scour mines, earn resources, achievements, train your assistants, build special perks. You have contracts at 3 different levels that you're going to be building from, as well as forging contracts just to get better reputation and income. So what does this do differently? How does this stand out? I mean, I see a lot of these quotes on here saying it does it in a nice way. It does it in a really good way. Click on the rule book to download a full PDF. See, wasn't kidding. So there you go. That's essentially what's there. It's on Steam as well. If you're interested from that, it's going to be $55, which for a regular crowdfunding, worker placement style game, it's about what I'd expect. Better, worse, or not, Again, this is a smaller game, smaller company, so wide distribution, probably not as easy. So this is one that either get it here or maybe not have a chance to get it later if you're really interested. But there you go. Worker placement. Forge. One last one here over in GameFound. I found this one just at the very tail end of things. Final Strike, looking for greatness games. $5,000, it's got 5,500 already. What do you need to know about this? And this just seems kind of cool. I kind of like the idea of this. What you have is you have this card, right? And you're going to be having this grid that they show you right here of cards that are going to be laid out. And you play this card and you activate the ability, which allows you then to go from the card that you're discarding and upgrade it in any one of the directions that are symbolized by these arrows. What you're going to be doing, though, is you're going to be battling through 3 monsters and their minions, represented by their health cubes here. And you're going to be collecting, winning glory by stealing kills, and then you get your kill rewards depending on when you kill it or who kills it, more likely. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to deck build as you go along. And this just seems like a really freaking cool concept. You got some massive unique weapons there, 30 unique monsters, potions, game modes. I worry a little bit about only 30 weapons. 30 unique monsters is plenty, but unique weapons is really where you make this, right? But here you go, right? You do the short sword damage. I'm going to give you the example that they use here. It does 2 damage. You move those over there. It's laying on your tableau. Then you play the little forge hammer that we showed you. It does 1 damage, but it allows you to forge a card in the field. Then you find the short sword out in the smithy here. You find it, and you can go up, down, left, right from that in the cardinal directions to get one of those cards back into your deck. That's what you're doing right here, right? That's what that shows you. And then you get to put one of those into your deck, going through boss building, sort of like a little bit of Slay the Spire style of things. And they give you a little bit of overview. There's a preview video here. They give you a little background. The only issue is that, the base game is, it's $55. That's pretty expensive for a card game nowadays. I've never even heard of this company though, so this is definitely highly, highly indie, but it's got 219 weapons cards total. So, if you've got 30 unique weapons there, you can do the math, but that's something like, potentially, if you have duplicates of each one of them, about 4 different card upgrades of each potentially. And so that's kind of cool. That's really nice. I kind of like that. If you want upgraded bits in a t-shirt though, that'll cost you $100. Okay, go with the $55 one. But again, design your card, name a card, whatever you want. Get in a few stretch goals here as well, because these are probably true stretch goals as well. So I don't know. I just ran across it. I wanted to talk about it here at the very end. Final Strike, looking for greatness. Again, tell them Liege sent you. There you go. That's it. Crowdfunding roundup. Couple sleeper hits there. A couple awesome looking games as well. So I wasn't kidding. About this week being a really good week, folks. Next week is going to be really where the test of the money and the wallet and the restraint are. So tune in tomorrow for which ones and what you need to know about, because the Elder Scrolls is coming. It is. On GameFound. It's got like 20,000 people following at this point. Right? Thanks for watching. Subscribe. 10K. And winners, shoot me your emails. Get those sent out to you so you can play them and have a good time. Stay classy. See you around.